Hello everyone and welcome back to how to build your own Solarbit. Today we are covering wiring, specifically wiring to our PCB, which I already have here, mounted to our 3D printed holder so we can't damage the back while we're working on it. And we'll just very quickly go over the main things that there are to say. Jumper positions. You want to have all of these on basically 0, 1, 0. So the 1 is on the bottom, 2 up, 3 bottom, same on this side. Keep this in mind, or just set them from the get-go so you can't forget. Otherwise your motors will spin up like crazy. We don't want that. And yeah, basically each port is labeled, so it's really hard to make a mistake here. A few things I can tell you is make sure when you open these to open them up fully, and then those little clamps which are in there, which are meant to clamp the wire, they're sometimes in the way too much to get our desired wire length into there easily. So I go in with the 2mm hex driver while holding the thing from the top and just wedge it in a little bit until I feel those flaps giving way. And you can just open up all of these. Great, now that that's done, we can go over the ports quickly. LDR, light sensor, motors, limit switches, connection to the solar charger, connection to the only thing that you really need to note down then is when we're doing the switches, because yeah, those are not perfectly labeled. Everything else is really easy, so we're just going to start mounting our cables or mounting our stepper drivers first. You want to set these to a voltage. Of course, this will depend on your type of motor, but for ours, which we used, which are listed at the BOM, we set them to about 0.96 volts or 0.98. And you want to mount those into these black holders this way, so the potentiometer is looking downwards when looking at it from the top. So mount these, put down into there, and that's done. So now it's just a matter of connecting these cables until we get to the next part where I need to tell you something. So to prepare our switches, we take off those caps, and then most of the time the wire part which comes out here is far too long, so we'll just take our flush cutters and snip them into about half of what they are now. I'm just going to do this off camera so we don't have any wire clippings here on our precious circuit board. There we have that. And for the reset button, this one comes with 5 wires. We only need 2. So we need white and yellow specifically. So we'll just take the flush cutter and cut the rest of those off. And we'll prepare the ends the same way we did with the power button. So for the reset button, that's I think the only base up here which is not labeled. So this is the one for the reset button. Top left green port. Polarity doesn't matter if I remember correctly, but I've always mounted these white top, yellow on the right. Oh yeah, polarity certainly doesn't matter, because otherwise we would have labeled the plus minus on the board. And that's basically all of the critical wiring already done. What's left to do is connect our two motor cables, which we have here. For the motor cables, you will need to remember which one is which. So in my case, I used my label printer to make a small Y label. So I can just use that to wrap it around the cable. And I did the same for all of the limit switch cables, and made two labels for both ends, for north, west, south and east, so we can label both ends of the limit switch cables, so there is no confusion later when wiring everything up. Okay, we got all our cables labeled up, so all that's left to do is to connect them. Okay, so that's fully wired up. We have everything connected except for whatever you want to power with it, and for that you have clearly labeled options like the 12 volt XT30, the 5 volt here, or the 12 volt here. What you need to keep in mind is the USB-C port on the left is just for data, so when you're attempting to flash it, just make sure you power the circuit board from the battery. Then, but before you connect power, hold the boot switch, connect your USB-C, and then flash the board via web flasher. And that's it. We can move on to the next chapter of building our own Solarbit. Bye.